Well, hi everyone. I'm John Ritlin with a retro review of WWE SummerSlam 1995. Some of the show aged well, some of it aged like a fine milk left on Uranus. I swear, one of these days I will stop laughing at stuff like Uranus. Except no, I won't, because I'm totally immature. Some of this show it's really bad. Mabel versus Diesel was really goddamn bad. It was absolutely atrocious. If they had flipped the ladder match and that match and had the ladder match go on last, I hate to say it, this pay-per-view would probably be ranked a little bit higher. Because it started good, it had a couple other good matches, but it was just missing that one spark, that really good finish. It would take until later in the year before the pay-per-views would get better, and then even in 96, the pay-per-views would get better as WCW started kicking the crap out of WWE. So, this show, though, opens with, tonight one man looks to implement the final phase of his plan. Ironic, because the Blue Brothers, the two Nazi Harris brothers, were also on this show, and I'm sure they had their ideas of a final phase. Maybe if they didn't have Nazi tattoos on their body, I wouldn't pick on them for being fucking Nazis, because they're pieces of shit, and if you have anything like that, you're a goddamn idiot. What the fuck? Ludwig Borga had a Nazi tattoo because apparently he wasn't a very nice guy either. Maybe don't get tattoos like that and you won't be seen as an idiot and as a horrible person. But anyway, enough of that. Yeah, it probably wasn't the best thing because they're still trying to push this whole thing of Mabel being a main event talent, and it didn't work. I think it was either Vince McMahon, it might have been Todd Pettengill, actually. Then Dean Douglas will grade the matches and discipline his students. That's assault. And also, the Dean Douglas character was absolute shit, and Shane Douglas knew that because he would be back in back in ECW, out of WWE pretty goddamn quickly. I think by like early '96. So they show footage of Hakushi losing to Barry Horowitz on the pre-show. Yep, that was what they were doing with Hakushi. And then Hakushi actually faced a 1-2-3 Kid and a great opener. One of the best SummerSlam openers, I would argue. This was really good. It was almost 10 minutes, fast-paced, well done. There was a beautiful handspring dive by Hakushi out there. That was really good shit. I enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that. And 1-2-3 Kid kept trying for the victory, but eventually would get caught and thrown down. 1-2-3. Hakushi won, and the crowd popped pretty big for this. And then we have Doc Hendricks with Mabel. Gee, I wonder what word Doc, aka Michael Hayes, wanted to call Mabel, because we know that he's a racist. You can't hide it anymore, Michael. You can't fucking hide it. We know you are. But anyway, yeah, I'm being a little bit angry towards some people if you can't tell, because there maybe are some pieces of shit, even if they were actually pretty good for wrestling. They were pieces of shit outside of it. So we get Hunter Hearst Helmsley, who went on to do absolutely nothing in wrestling besides everything because he married the boss's daughter and did the right thing, so he set himself up for life, versus Bob Sparkplug Holly. They thought a race car character was a good idea for Bob Holly, who is a legit tough guy and should have been promoted as such, but nope, this is during the New Generation era where they had to have everybody have an occupation. Match was fine. They would obviously go on to do bigger and better things. Triple H just a little bit more. The action was good. Pedigree 1, 2, 3. There you go. So then we get Tug of War, the Pittsburgh Firefighters, and WWF Superstars, and then we get the Nazi Blue Brothers versus the Smoking Guns. I mean, well, the Blue Brothers really had no business being a tag team. They weren't very good. They really weren't. They were actually pretty bloody rotten no matter what company they were in. Smoking Guns were going to be near the end of their run, I think, by sometime in 96. I think they would break up. It was nice. Actually, I think it was like early 97 that they did. But still, they hit a leg drop off the top and 1, 2, 3. There you go. So that's the end of that. And then Barry Horowitz versus Skip with Sonny. Poor Skip having to slum it around with the gutter, what Sonny, and that's all she is. That's all she'll ever be. And you know what? Maybe if she wasn't a piece of shit and wasn't a racist herself and wasn't a goddamn atrocious human being, she wouldn't get made fun of. And maybe if she didn't let herself be passed around like a joint at a college party or, passed around like somas in a locker room, then people wouldn't make fun of her. And if she actually held to, any of the rehab that WWE paid for and, didn't bleed them for a whole bunch of money because she has habits that she doesn't want to take care of because she doesn't want to accept personal responsibility, then maybe I wouldn't make fun of her. Barry was looking for another win because Barry Horowitz had beaten Skip recently. This went about 5 minutes too, well, it went about twice as long as it needed to. Barry Horowitz was a residential jobber, had gotten occasional victories and stuff like that, but had been basically a jobber in this incarnation in WWE, and the idea was, okay, he can't beat Skip again. Skip got cocky, pulled him up after a move, and then Hakushi shows up because he was upset because Skip actually helped cost Hakushi that match inadvertently. And he was upset with him. Inside Cradle 1-2-3. Barry Horowitz gets another victory. He would actually get into the 96 Royal Rumble, and I think would be gone for the company soon after. And then we get Dean Douglas analyzing the matches, because again, this is what we needed apparently, is a teacher. Terrible idea. Alundra Blaze versus Bertha Faye with Harvey Whippleman. I feel like literally punching walls whenever I see Harvey Whippleman. He looks like a disgusting human being. He looks like you need to pressure wash him with, like, you know, something that would take paint off the side of a house. He just looks so scuzzy and looks so vile. I don't know what it is about him. And I'm not talking his character. Any of the stuff I see, he just doesn't. He looks gross. And speaking of gross, sorry, Bertha Faye, this was not good. This was not good. This was fucking terrible. Alundra Blaze was going to be on her way out soon after, because she would win the title back because she lost the title. It was a 4.5-minute match. Bertha Faye could not work. At least she couldn't work, you know, for an American audience. And this is terrible. She gets wins with a sit-out bomb. She couldn't even do anything, but she managed to almost botch that and almost drop Alundra Blaze on her head because she was a clumsy twat in the ring. The woman herself apparently did a lot of really, really good things and actually did die very young. She died at the age of 40, and that is a shame. But as far as an in-ring performer, she was not good. And yeah, Alundra Blaze loses. She would win the title back sometime in October, I want to say, because Bertha Faye only held it for just a couple months. But yeah, that's it. Undertaker versus Kama, casket match. Well, there was a camera in the casket, and this was actually a pretty big fight feel. Had some good stuff to it. Kama had melted the urn down and made it into a chain. It turns out that was not the right thing for Charles to do. Yes, bit of a wordplay. Do you get it? Do you get it? Do you get what his name is? If you don't, well, then look it up. Google it, kids. That's what everybody says. Couldn't sound more white and old if I tried. Moving on. Match was pretty damn cool because this is back when Undertaker's character was fresh, as opposed to what it is in 2020, a shell, a husk of what it is and what it was. There was a cool visual of them both being in the casket and then Kama being dragged back in. I think they would do that with Mabel a little bit later. Later in the year, they get the In Your House in December. And eventually Taker would hit a chokeslam, hit Tombstone, and then roll Kama in the casket. And there we go. That's your lot right there. Bret Hart versus Isaac Yankem. Oh, dear. Isaac Yankem, the fighting dentist. The future Kane. The future fake Diesel, and then the future Kane. How the fuck did he survive this? How the fuck did Kane still even wrestle into like 2018, 2019, whatever? How did he have longevity after getting this bullshit thing, this bullshit, gimmick and everything? It's just terrible segments. He had to work with Jerry Lawler, and I'm sorry. I know Jerry Lawler is popular among some fans. I don't really care. I have never seen the appeal of Jerry Lawler. I'm also not as big on Southern wrestling as other people. I mean, I like Jim Crockett Promotions, but that could actually translate to a wider audience. Memphis never translated to me. It just never did. And I'm not saying that he didn't have his fans and he doesn't have his fans and he didn't have some talent. But just looking at it, he was very much a guy that could only do well in Memphis. If you put him anywhere else, his style was just very old. It was less of a throwback and like, why the fuck? Why should I care about this guy? This is also the never-ending feud between Bret and Lawler, and it was shit. Lawler kept interfering. There was a nice leg drop by Kane, but why did this get 16 minutes? Why? Why did he? I know it was his debut, his pay-per-view debut. Kane. I'm just going to call him Kane because Isaac Yankem's shit. Bret even puts a cord around his legs and is beating his ass and everything while his legs are around the post. And then Bret gets tangled in the ropes, his head in the ropes, kind of like that, that thing that Cactus did and other people did. And a DQ finish, because why let Bret win clean? Fucking Dennis thing was too. Bret was upset. I mean, who wouldn't be? Razor at one point, cutting a promo, says, I take a chance every chance I get. Maybe it's a good thing that Razor didn't talk all that much. Razor versus Shawn 2, Electric Boogaloo, ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship. Doc Hendricks joins commentary. Great, good. Just what I wanted to hear. Doc, you know what? It should have actually been Doc with 3 Ks because that would have fit Michael Hayes a little bit more. Doc with 3 Hayes. Moving on. It was quite good. I'm not really going to get into too many spots in this. I would say it at least equals, maybe exceeds what they did at Mania 10. Dear God, that would be amazing if they did a ladder match, 3 years before. But this was good stuff. Michaels' knee got jammed in that ladder. That looked really painful. I mean, that didn't look like, oh, it was a little slip. It looked like, ow. He missed a splash off the ladder where the ladder looked like it was going to teeter. They had to get a second ladder because the other ladder was, kind of wobbly. And the ladder gives way. Shawn gets upset after he dumps Razor outside. He can't get the belt down. And he finally gets the belt down, just pitching a fit, jamming the thing. To be fair, I mean, I'd be upset too if the spot got blown because then you're running long because the match didn't finish properly. But yeah, that was something that happened. But Shawn won. He retained the championship, and then he would go on to lose it to Dean Douglas after being beat up by one Marine, not a bunch of Marines, because Shawn was a little pilled up bitch, and then would drop it to Dean Douglas, and then Razor would beat Dean Douglas right after, keeping it in the clique. So, we then get Mabel versus Diesel. I'm going to tell you right now. That's all. That's what that match deserves. Diesel did the best he could. He got the title way too soon. Mabel never. I'm sorry. I know that the guy is dead. I'm not knocking him as a person. But he never fucking deserved this chance. He never deserved the King of the Ring. He never deserved to even get anything like a main event title shot ever. Because he wasn't talented enough. Even at this point, he wasn't talented enough. Oh, he was big. Well, congratulations. You're really big because you don't want to take care of yourself. It's not like Yokozuna where he actually wanted to be the biggest wrestler ever. Dear God, it got insane. But Diesel did everything he could. It was bad. It was at one point he does a dive. I mean, and a bad idea because Nash doing a dive was a terrible idea because it looked like he could have caught his feet on the ropes. Almost looked like he did. And then Mabel does that sit out thing where he sits on his goddamn back. It was fucking stupid because all he did was just injure Nash. Nash could barely get up on the ropes. After a whole bunch of interference, like Mo got in there after a ref bump. Luger got in there, got knocked out by Nash because Nash thought that he was there to beat him. And then Luger gets Mo and takes him to the back and stuff like that. And then, Diesel, I keep calling him Nash because I've been watching some WCW 2000, hits the clothesline forearm variation thing because Mabel was out of place because he was a clueless fuck that never belonged in the main event scene, if I mentioned that. And Diesel gets victory 1, 2, 3, and they go off the air right there. So yeah, if they had flipped the Intercontinental Championship match and this match, if they had put semi-main and Shawn and Razor had closed the show, I hate to say it, I probably would have thought more of this pay-per-view. Because it would have started strong, it would have finished strong, and at least the Nazi Blue Brothers got beat, because I want to take one more shot at them. And Lawler, continued to suck, on television, because that's even what he did in the 90s. But anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.